about the book, Fanatical Prospecting. Okay. I've got a bunch of notes, but who wants to start? Ryan? Actually, I would love for you to start, Ryan, because of the work that we did the other day with the scripting that you talked about. I'd love for you to share that script.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I mean, this is a powerful chapter for me. Like, obviously, I'm not like super sales trained by any means, and so this was really cool for me to get a good script, because I've always just kind of been willy-nilly on the phone, and I'm sure you could hear that. And that's why I've always hated cold calling or just calling realtors in general, because I haven't had a great plan. So I took a lot more of a different approach to just prospecting over the past few weeks. And after reading this, I mean, I think the biggest takeaway was just the 5-step telephone prospecting framework. So it's get their attention, say their name, identify yourself, tell them what you want, bridge to because, and then ask for what you want. Right. So I've been kind of fooling around with the script. It's just, hey Dave, my name is Ryan Pettigrew with Home Loans. I'm sure you're thinking to yourself, not another lender, because I'm getting hounded by recruiters too. The reason I'm calling is because I'd love to show you how I'm helping my partners close another 2 to 3 deals this year. Are you free Monday at 2? And so that's something I haven't done that exact script just yet. I'm going to tailor it down just a little bit because it's kind of wordy, but this is a really cool chapter that I liked a lot.
Well, and to be clear, Ryan doesn't sound nearly as confident as he did when he delivered that the other day. When he did it,
You're putting me on the spot.
Because you got everybody. I know he put you on the spot, and you weren't rep. But the change in confidence, and it talks about that in the book. Confidence, asking with confidence changes everything. Confidence, enthusiasm is attractive, right? If you don't ask with confidence, you're probably not going to get what you want. Right. So you sounded so good when you did that. And it was all about the stuff that you learned in this chapter. So thanks a lot for sharing. That was great. Jack.
I kind of echo what Ryan was saying. Like, I liked all of the 5-step calling conversation. I liked, it was a lot of it. That chapter was very reminiscent of conversations I was having at the very beginning of my career, as far as like, when you're making these phone calls, stand up, smile, put your shoulders back, like that whole thing, and like having some confidence in that conversation. So I mean, listening to all of these, I'm listening to it, but listening to all these chapters, every time he starts talking about something else, it just kind of makes me laugh, because it's like, yeah, duh, why wouldn't I do it that way? Or I've known that the whole time. So it's just nice to hear it reiterated, and just kind of that whole go back to the basics of prospecting and getting to the because, and just being very clear. I think that's something that Renee Rodriguez talks about too, is giving them the why. It's like, I'm calling, this is important to you because, or the reason why I'm calling is this, or that kind of thing. And it works both ways with both real estate agents and with clients. And then just some additional conversations that I've been having. Like, I had a Chaffa class this week, and they weren't going to come in because I didn't have as many attendees, but then the call or the meeting ended up going really well. And I actually scored some additional meetings with the Chaffa rep. So using those tools in other areas, not just prospecting real estate agents, is really powerful, really helpful.
Right on. Well, the notes that I took on this subject of enthusiasm and confidence and why it's important, it's page 135 is where they talked about it. It's important to develop the techniques for building and demonstrating confidence and enthusiasm, especially when you don't feel confident and enthusiastic. It's normal to not feel confident and enthusiastic when you have to do something that you don't especially like doing, right? Like, it would be weird if you you'd be some kind of freaking cyborg or something if you could like somehow flip that switch, but you can't. So it's important to develop, and read my Friday Focus today, because that's exactly what it talks about. Like, what are you thinking about? What are you saying? Because everything you think and say influences you. Everything that you think and say influences your behavior, which influences your habits, which influences your outcomes and your character. And like, it just goes on and on and on, and it's a vicious cycle. And if you don't take a hold of it, I mean, you're just going to walk around in a funk and a fog the rest of your life, and it's a horrible thing to do. So I don't want to skip past that part of the chapter, but Emily, go ahead.
A lot of the same of what's already been said. The because stuck out to me a lot, and just even reading that simple part example in the book about the copier, where they were saying statistically that just giving a reason why you need to make copies first. Like I was thinking about that, and the one that they gave was like kind of not really good reason, right? Well, can I cut you and make copies because I'm in a hurry? It's like, well, it's not a great reason, but yeah, to have that kind of, but I think about it myself. I'm like, I guess if someone said that to me, I would let them do it. So what Jacqueline was saying, like just simply knowing the reason of why somebody wants something will sometimes be the thing that gets you to say yes to it. So that was interesting to me. The assume that you get what you want stuck out to me. I remember when I took my licensing test, and this was like one of the first times that like I think I was really focused on flipping my mindset, and like that focus, or like what you focus on expands mentality. I remember it was Dave. I would always go into tests being like thinking I'm going to fail. And Dave was like, well, why don't you just go in thinking you're going to pass? I'm like, why am I not going in thinking that I would just pass? And I swear that like, I remember going in, I'm like, wow, I'm like a lot calmer. I'm a lot more confident. And it really was just that simple, like, I'm going to go in thinking that I'm going to pass, which that part of the chapter stuck out to me, because it's like, assume that they will want to have an appointment with you, or assume that they will want to work with you because of the notion of what you focus on expand. And then the last thing is the ask for what you want and then shut up mentality. I think that is something that was a good reminder to me to like, that was drilled in me in my last job, like ask for what you want. It was like actually part, like you kind of had to like check it off as something that you did. And I think I've kind of lost that since I've been away from my last job. So that was a good reminder. And then also the shut up part, like just ask and then be quiet. Very simple, but very hard to do. But I think it's powerful to just shut up.
Unbelievably powerful. It's like my favorite part of the book, because when we got there, I know it was towards the end of the chapter, I couldn't remember where it was, and then as I was finishing it, because they touched on it, and then at the last couple of pages they went into depth on shut up. Salespeople have a way of talking themselves out of deals all the time because they just keep talking, or talking themselves out of appointments. We had a couple, Dean and I were talking about it, or John and I were talking about it, I can't remember, but a couple of LOs that aren't here anymore, listening to some of their calls where they get a realtor on the phone. The realtor would go, yeah, okay, I'll meet with you. And then they keep fucking talking. And then like, it went on for like 5 or 10 minutes. The realtor goes like, you know what? I can't meet. They say like, dude, the guy said yes. Set the appointment, move on. Like and so it's easy to talk yourselves out of it. It's a simple technique. And it's one of the best. It's just shutting up is hard for loan officers because, we love to talk. We don't feel like we're doing anything if we're not talking. Jay, go ahead.
So I tend to ramble, I think, when it comes to leaving voicemails. And there is a part in here that talks about that. Like, only leave a voicemail if you already know the prospect and when it matters. And then like when you leave a voicemail, it has to count. Otherwise, don't leave a voicemail. And I think that's something I can definitely improve on and get better at.
Giuseppe.
Keep it simple. What's in it for them? And the approach doesn't have to be perfect. Just quick, direct, and persuasive. Great chapter. Yeah, like I know I'm not assertive enough, and I'd be wondering how many more realtor partners I would have if I was, but always a good reminder.
Right on. Everybody can learn new things. Jessica.
Yeah, this is a good one. So the mindset of going into it and like creating the confidence, it might be a little, I don't know. I feel like it gives me confidence when I visualize like how messed up the broker world is. And I witnessed it time and time again because my ex is a broker and people are sitting down at the table. I actually visualize this quite a lot. Like they're sitting down at the table, there's nothing to sign. Like, there's just no paperwork there. And like, it's not funded and it's a disaster and they've already been delayed 30 days and here they are, it's delayed again. So I picture that in my head and then I know what we do and I know I'm actually like saving people, I'm helping people for sure. And that's the energy that I bring to it. I'm like, I know what you're used to and that's not what we do here. So I can come to them with that confidence. And I think that and enthusiasm. So that helps me to pick up the phone because I feel like I'm actually helping people. And then let's see here. I think the part of like ask for what you want and then shut up. So the first meeting, if I get that, I want to then ask at that meeting for the second meeting, because that's where I feel like I lose a little touch with them. And if I like them, if I want to work with them, I just need to like ask for that second meeting right there and get it on the books. Like, I think that would really help me build that relationship, because I send them the card and then I follow up, and sometimes it's hard to get the second meeting where you actually get to go through your processes with them. And then I liked when they talked about connecting to the emotional part, like, hey, you're stressed out. The process you're in right now is anxiety provoking, isn't it? And they're like, yeah, not with Zenith Home Loans. like not with me. That's what I'm working on over here. So that's really helpful. And then I had a realtor give me an idea, which I haven't yet put to action necessarily. I just have started a list kind of, but like, what makes me different from other lenders for realtors? I already have the list for clients, but I want to come up with a list for realtors so that they can just like after our first meeting, just to summarize like how I stand out from the crowd.
Right on. I'd like to put Ryan on the spot again, because you talked about what she brought up here a minute ago when talking about asking for the next meeting at the end of the first meeting, and you had put a script together for that. Do you have that? Do you have that handy?
For the next meeting?
Yeah.
I mean, it was easy. It was just like going in with an intent of like what you want the meeting to be ever since we talked about it. And it's been super successful, but it's just like, hey, I want to make sure that you know exactly what my process looks like and what your buyers are going to see before you ever send me a client. So why don't we go ahead and pull out our phones right now and see what your schedule looks like next week? We'll set up a 15-minute Zoom and we'll go ahead and go through that together. And every single time it's been a huge hit.
Right. So simple, right? It's just direct to the point, you know what you want. And that's the cool thing. Instead of leaving that meeting going, well, let's get together. I'll send you an email. We'll figure out a time. It's like, no, schedule it right there. And that they're not going to say no, right? They're going to say yes, because it's right there. And if you've agreed to continue to move forward and learn more and more about each other, great job. Dean.
Yeah, this is, I've read a lot of the sales books over my sales career, and this chapter, this book probably is the best when it comes to figuring out how you do a messaging and what do I say to a client. Everybody wants like the silver bullet, the words that are going to magically make them want to have a meeting with you. And it's just not that. And I think that the core of this chapter is actually when it says the most effective way to craft a message is to simply stand in the prospect's shoes. Just put yourself in their position. What is it that they want to know? You're interrupting their day. Make it relevant to them. Make it something that means something to them. And then you go in with the confidence of they're going to say yes. I think that's the core of this. So that was kind of what I took from it. I mean, there's tons of good stuff.
Thank you. Dennis.
Yeah, definitely, good reminders all throughout it. The confidence thing, I think we've all witnessed it firsthand, both in, conversations that we've had and how they've gone versus not, and people that have talked to us and we've reacted to it correctly. That, it's just a good reminder for that. As my semi-famous model friend would say, all else fails, just get in the Spartan pose. He has this really specific pose he does when he's doing one of his things, and it cracks me up, but that's what part of his process too for his work. And I like the reminder about, small business owners like to talk about their business. And so from sort of one of my preferred channels of small business owners and self-employed people, that is a pretty good way to be able to just spark a conversation, sit back and listen and gain a bunch of information, because they typically will just go for it. And I need to really target that more and find out just what's going on in your business and just learn more from a business aspect versus, hey, do you need a loan, or right out of the gate. business advisor. So those are my
Cool.
key.
Casey Clement.
I think this one's pretty interesting because it really just breaks it down into such simple things that are difficult for everyone to do. And that's ask. Directly asking. I know that, so while some of us do it, we don't always want to ask. We don't always, because it's just like it says, you're afraid of rejection, just like all of us are. But being confident and asking is the biggest thing you can do, and just get that yes, get that no, or get the maybe. It's been a while since I've read it, but I'm looking forward to reading the next chapter and kind of converting the maybes too. The other thing on that is the confidence, is find what makes you confident in your office when you're making those calls, where you're making those calls. For me, I stand up. I walk around my office. I put my headset on. When I'm talking to someone, if I'm walking around, I feel like I'm more confident in having a good conversation rather than just sitting at my desk feeling very stagnant and stationary. That makes a huge difference in what you're able to speak to them and how you feel when you talk to them. So I think all of us have some version of a standing desk. Get up and stand up. It makes a big difference.
I couldn't agree more. That's one of the first things that we learned in my phone sales career when I was 19 or 20 years old. It was stand up, smile. Those are the two things, because when you stand up, if you're going to sit, push your feet through the floor while you're sitting, because it changes your posture and it changes your tone and inflection, because you're pushing down on the floor. You sound differently. You sound more forceful. You sound more confident. It's weird, but it works. And so if you do have to sit, make sure that you're doing that. Obviously you can't be walking around your office on a headset if you're demonstrating something on Zoom to people, but that's a whole different level of sales. That's good. The other thing, what I was thinking when you asked that, Casey, was how we struggle asking for referrals from clients that we're closing. Like, they love us, they gave you a 5-star review, they thought you were awesome, and we're still uncomfortable asking them for what we want. And I just thought about the because statement. Maybe a good because statement is simple. We've heard that, most of you have heard this before, but the because statement being because I want to work with more people just like you. So, would you please refer me because I want to work with more people just like you? That's a good one. Because I don't spend money on advertising. I spend money on delivering a world-class experience, and I want to be able to share that with others. Like, come up with some becauses. Yesterday because I didn't bring a lunch and I had a PT appointment, I stopped at freaking Taco Bell drive-thru up here and got 3 crunchy tacos, and they always ask you if you want to round up. And I said, yeah, sure. And I thought, wonder how they do on this. And so I asked the guy at the window, I go, do most people say yes? And he goes, yeah, most of the time they say yes. And I go, do you guys keep track? And he goes, yeah. And I go, try something. He goes, say, because we're trying to make a difference in community, and see if you can. He goes, that sounds like a good idea. I think I'll try that. I don't know if it's going to work, but I'm sure it will improve it. Like, hey, we're trying to make a difference. Would you like to round up because we're trying to make a difference in the community? I mean, like, just adding a because, right? It's funny. Chris, and then Jessica, we'll get back to you.
I mean, I don't have anything extraordinary to offer than what other people said, but I related more to Jacqueline. I think when I first was being coached by Mike White, he really helped me with like scripting, because when you just like pick up the phone and you're like, I don't know what I'm gonna say, like that doesn't really work well. So you got to sit down and type it and then edit it after you had a call. Like, oh, that what I said there went well, and then pretty much it's just ingrained in your brain. But and then I remember when I had I was kind of struggling, Dave. You remember I was like, I just feel like I plateaued, like blah blah blah. So then I was watching mortgage coach videos every morning. And then if you need good scripts, just watch some of those, because you just get really good stuff from Jeremy Forsey. I have a whole, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 pages if people want them that I typed out about rate shoppers, realtor meetings, just a bunch of stuff. So I just
let me add something else.
Scripting is.
Let me add something else about that scripting. Thank you. That's a really great reminder, because I think everybody the idea of being scripted sometimes, I'm going to keep saying this. The idea of being scripted sometimes makes people like, well, I don't want to sound like I'm a robot. It's like going, okay, if you don't type out the script that you want to use and internalize that script, you're going to sound like shit because you're going to just be winging it. If you don't internalize the script that you typed out, then you're going to sound like a robot and people are going to know you're reading a script. So you have to go through the steps of typing up what you want to say, run it by people. Like Ryan did that the other day, and we're like, oh, what about this and what about that? It was really powerful, and he had it written down. And the way he delivered it, it was already internalized. It came across so powerful. It was like, dude, I'll meet with you. And so there, you have to go through those steps and then record them. Use your phone, right? Record yourself delivering the script and then play the script back to yourself. Like record it, give the script to your wife or your partner or one of the people here, and just like, how did that sound? How does that? You're preparing. It drives me crazy. Like, dude, the best athletes, the best performers, the best entertainers, they practice their ass off. You can make insane money at this. Why wouldn't you practice, right? Why wouldn't you take the time to invest in yourself to get really good at delivering and anybody can be as polished as anybody, right? So Jeremy Forcier, for sure, he's clearly polished at this. Giuseppe and I were on a call with Josh Metal yesterday. We were doing a little demonstration with just a little quick call that got thrown together in our coaching group. And that dude is crazy polished. He practices a lot, right? That's what people do. And then they go back and they watch what they did and they watch their sits and they're like, oh, I'm going to say this. I'm not going to say that. I want to get better at it. So don't discount the value of investing in yourself by taking the time to do that kind of work. Jessica, what were you going to add?
Yeah, just back on the referrals, asking it got a lot easier when I had a meeting with a realtor partner who told me what he does. And basically he says, similar to what you just said, but hey, I don't buy leads, I don't advertise, I don't market. And, you know, I'm relying on you to be my advertiser. And I'm also, you know, who do you know or who can I work with next? So if you could please tell 2 or 3 friends for me about this experience, like that'd be great. So just saying, I don't buy internet leads. This is my marketing. You're my marketing.
Right on. That's great. Anything else anybody wants to add? One more thing to cover. Jan wasn't here, but sent me his numbers. What did I do with? I had them here. He had 5 leads, 3 credit pulls, 2 applications, 2 face-to-face meetings. Christine is sick today. She goes, I'm really sorry. I keep missing these. I'm really sick today. She was on a camping trip last week. 8 leads, 5 credit pulls, 2 apps, 1 face-to-face, 2 closings. So good numbers there. So Mike White is going to be here next Friday. So we're not going to do a coffee for closers meeting. Mike's going to be in the office. He's actually coming in Thursday. He's going to be in the office all day Friday and wants to schedule one-on-one meetings with those of you that have signed up. And those meetings can be face-to-face. So if you want to come in, I'm going to have Amy build a schedule for that and then send it to you all send it to you individually so that you can sign up for a slot of where you want to, when you'd like to meet with him, if you'd like to come in and meet with him face-to-face. If you don't want to drive in, for those of you that are, far out, we can do it on Zoom, and I just want to participate because I just want to help set the tone for for the weeks ahead. And then she's also going to ask you to want you to get a preferred time for either Monday. Mike does his coaching calls on Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, and he's just looking for where you'd prefer to have a call, morning, midday, or afternoon. So that he can, because he's trying to build a schedule up for April. So that's what the point of asking you guys for this information is. So Amy's going to send you the request if you could get the information back to her by noon Monday, and let's not have to have us chase you around for that information. Okay. Any questions?
I actually have one more thing, Dave.
Go ahead.
About
Chris.
scripting. Sorry.
That's okay.
I know it's a little vulnerable.
You usually add good stuff.
It's usually.
Yeah.
I know it's a little vulnerable for some people, but fuck you, Ryan.
Nice.
When I started, me and Andrew Gallegos and Mike Cazell would go into the front office and he would just grill us and we would script in the morning. for 30 minutes and do role play. Yeah.
Jack was doing it too with him.
Yeah. This was like at the old prison looking building thingy.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was like, I hated doing it, but after 30 minutes, it was like 9:30. I was like ready to pound the phones because I was like, that was the hardest calls I was going to have all day. So I don't know if some of you guys want to just role play with each other in the morning on Zoom or in person, and then just it's easy after that. So I thought that was really successful when I did that.
Let me remind everybody of this. I was thinking about it today. This is still the greatest career opportunity because for, I don't know, Dean, would you spend $1,000? You haven't even spent $1,000 to get licensed. And now you have the ability to make 500 grand, $1 million with almost no financial risk. You don't have to go sign leases and buy tons of equipment and inventory and staff. I mean, if you build a team, you got to grow a little bit, right? You got to add some, I got that. But man, the potential in this business is insane for what you have to put into it and in terms of financial commitments. So it really is just about the intellectual commitment, the commitment to practice, the commitment to becoming gifted. And because anybody can get better. It's just math. Practice equals you improve, right? But it's, it's the right kind of practice. So that's a great reminder, Chris. It is just taking the time. Yeah, you have to be vulnerable. You have to be willing to be embarrassed. Like, going, get over it. We're not trying to embarrass you. We're trying to improve. You're trying to get better at something. So get better and get better results and make more money and buy cooler shit. So there you go. That's it, everybody. Thanks a lot. Have a great day and have a great weekend.